Now, how much do you know about Brehon Law? Brehon Law, something from ancient Ireland. How did it operate? How successful was it? The reason that we're talking about it is the Brehon Law School this weekend is looking at the power of vested interests and the law. And how could Brehon Law possibly apply to that? Well, Professor of Medieval History at University College Cork, Donnchadh Ó Corráin joins us. Good evening to you, Donnchadh.
Good evening.
Good evening to you. Donnchadh, can you, for people who are not familiar with the concept, can you explain to us what Brehon Law was, please?
Brehon Law was the law of Ireland down to the 12th century, and the law of Ireland, the parts that remained unconquered, down to the 16th century. And it is a very complex and very sophisticated system of law, but it is by no means an egalitarian or democratic law. It is a law that assigns to each person a status or a value. They call it honour price. So the honour price of a strong farmer would be round about €12,000. And he can only go a guarantor for that amount. He can only go give evidence in a lawsuit up to that amount. And the nobility and the churchmen have very high value, and therefore they are they're a vested interest. They're extremely powerful and have control of vast amounts of land and vast powers.
So did you have to be born into this?
Well, it is, God is not an equal opportunity employer in early Ireland anyway. And the people who held office as bishops and as powerful abbots and so on are usually born into it in the sense they belong to hereditary ecclesiastical families.
Now, does that suggest, we often give out about the influence of the British when they came and conquered this country and imposed their own laws upon us. But does that suggest that our system, not of law, but our system of hierarchy, was in some respects quite similar to theirs?
Well, it was perhaps even more rigorous than theirs. But it is their jurisprudence, their approach to law is extremely sophisticated. For instance, in English law in the Middle Ages, if you killed somebody, there are only two ways of killing. You either kill him or you kill him and hide the body. Whereas in Irish law, there are many different gradations, killing in self-defense, killing by accident, killing by neglect. If somebody breaks into your house, you can kill him if you don't know him, but you can't kill him if you do know him, because there are other remedies. So they have a much more sophisticated jurisprudence than has English law.
But then when the British won the war, effectively, that meant that British jurisprudence took precedence, did it?
Yes, well, it was imposed on Ireland universally in the early years of James I.
How well would we have been served had we kept Brehon Law?
In some ways, we might have been better served than we are. For example, they have divorce and remarriage, and when a woman divorces, there are about 14 or 15 reasons why she can divorce her husband, including destroying her reputation, impotence, infertility, beating her, and so on. And she gets back her dowry and everything she brought into the marriage, and she can marry again straight away.
Okay, and what about then the rights of illegitimate children?
They're a different concept of legitimacy. A child is legitimate if the father is known.
If you can prove the identity of the father?
Yeah. And
whether or not the couple is married or not?
Oh, that doesn't matter.
Hang on, was this not Holy Catholic Ireland at the same time, no?
Well, the medieval church thought that there were more sins than sex, you know?
Really?
And yeah, they're very interested in equity in marriage, and that, for example, a woman, when she divorces, she gets back her dowry, and she gets back any property she brought into the marriage, and she gets back the profits generated from her property within the marriage. So if they make a lot of money as a couple, and it's her cattle and her produce that is the source of the money, then she gets it back.
Those who were higher in the pecking order, did they enjoy superior rights legally?
Yes, they did, because they the kings had a great deal of power, and also they tended to replicate themselves rather swiftly. And have you ever wondered why there's so many McCarthys in Munster or so many O'Neills in Ulster? Well, it's because the royal dynasty tended to reproduce and grab the lands of the inferiors.
And then the offspring all took the names of the kings, is it?
Well, they did. They took this only happens when you've got surnames. They take the surname of their father. And the English proceeded to bring in threatened to bring in a law in the 16th century that a bastard should not be called, named, or known by the name of his reputed father, but by the name of his mother only. But that law, and that this would be punishable by law, but actually it wasn't passed. But the upper class tended to, as elsewhere in Europe, they tended to replicate at a rather smart rate, and they tended to press down upon the lesser peoples.
It's all going to be discussed in greater detail at the Brehon Law School this weekend down in County Clare. Professor Donnchadh Ó Corráin, Professor of Medieval History at University College Cork, an expert in Brehon Law. Thank you very much for joining us on the programme.
Thank you.